My name is Cindy, and I was recently watching a video. It was a video review of this young 36-year-old woman, and she stated that she had watched this influencer post her kitchen, her beautiful kitchen, and her beautiful refrigerator, gigantic refrigerator. And this was actually being reviewed by someone else, okay? And so she said that the influencer then proceeds to go to the grocery store and buy anything and everything that she needs to get her refrigerator filled back up. And she also said that when she was little, that they were very poor and that they had lived on food stamps and they depended on public assistance, and that in her 36 years of being alive, that she had never been able to grocery shop and not be not to be aware of what she was spending, because she couldn't just buy whatever she wanted because everything mattered, so she was purchasing things that she could afford and not really purchasing things that she really wanted in her 36 years of life. So the gentleman who is reviewing her video, he says it's a little reel, and he says that, or a short, he says that he doesn't know how that he feels that, people who are in poverty should not be having children. And, when I first saw that, I was like, gosh, my parents were, my father was more impoverished than my mom. My mom and dad got married. They had children, and my father was pretty successful at, we probably had more than most of the kids that I grew up with in my neighborhood. And when I married my husband, I was going back and thinking about when my husband and I got married. And my husband was an E3 in the United States Air Force. And I had already been a funeral director, and he was stationed in Alaska. And in Alaska, I could not be a funeral director because I had to go back to college. I had to have more college than what was required in the state of Texas. So I had to get whatever kind of job I could possibly get. And the first 4 months that we were married, I didn't work. And so I was thinking, about his comments and but my thought is that poverty is temporary, okay? People can break out of poverty. Contrary to what people might believe and what people might think, you can break out of poverty. Poverty is a temporary state of mind. You can break out of it. And I was thinking back to when we got married and I started grocery shopping for us as a couple. And I remember that my husband, not one time did my husband ever say to me, we can't buy that. Or we can't, this is the amount that you have to spend and you can't go over it. This is how much I'm giving you and you can't go over that amount. My husband never said that to me. And remember, I wasn't working those first 4 months. Here's what my husband would say. If we need it, buy it. It doesn't matter what it is. If you need it, go ahead and buy it. Get it. Get whatever it is, your deodorant, your shampoo, your hair conditioner, because I didn't use the same products that he did. So he would say, just, if you need it, buy it. And so that's what I did. I never had a calculator. I didn't even coupon. I didn't even know about coupons. I don't think in 1989, I wasn't really aware of coupons. And so I would just go through the commissary of the base, and I would buy whatever we needed, And I would fill up my little cabinets, and I would fill up my little freezer of our little tiny apartment that we had, and we were fine. But there were so many things that we could not do, okay? We could not be eating out at, fine dining, like all my friends were fine dining on Friday nights and going to the military club, the NCO club. We couldn't do any of that. We couldn't buy alcohol. We couldn't buy beer. We didn't buy any of that stuff. We didn't go out, clubbing. We didn't go out to fancy dinners. We didn't, there was lots of things that we didn't do. But there was something that my husband always said to me. He said, Cindy, I promise you that one day we will not live like this. Okay, one day life for us is going to be very different. If you just stick with me here, stay with me while we're sitting here trying to save money, while we're not doing all of these other things, and we put our priorities in check, I guarantee you that one day we will not live the way we're living today, and life will look completely different. And that's exactly what happened. See, my husband, I didn't realize that he was very smart, and he was very smart. And he'd been living on his own since he was 15. And that's another story. He'd gone to school, finished high school, and he worked full time while he was finishing high school. He lived on his own. He had his own little cottage that he lived in. The owner of the place where he worked provided him with housing, and he lived on his own. He had a motorcycle, and he got around on his motorcycle. Then after he graduated high school, he went on to college. And then, things just weren't working out for him, and he decided to join the military. He was older when he joined the military. He did retire from the United States Air Force, and life did become very different for us. My husband would tell me, I promise you that one day, if you stick with me and we stay focused and we do what we need to do, one day our life will be completely different. So my thoughts for you are that poverty is a temporary state of mind. You can get out of it. If you're like the young woman who has never in her 36 years been able to buy what she wanted because everything was because of price, I think you're focusing on the wrong thing, okay? Focusing on the wrong thing. Focus on getting out of it. Getting out of it. Stop, if you're eating out, if you're smoking cigarettes, if you're drinking beers on the weekend, then you know what? Maybe your priorities are off a little bit. If you just stay focused and you can exit poverty. It's possible.